Hello and welcome to another video on my channel, The Money Passport, where I'm sharing my journey as a digital nomad entrepreneur seeking financial freedom. This summer I decided to work a bit less so I can travel more, and I'm spending a full month slow traveling through Romania so I can still get some work done. Since I still feel like a rookie nomad, I'm trying to figure out how traveling more impacts my finances and productivity. I started with a week in the beautiful city of Timișoara, and I already posted a video about this, so make sure to check that one out as well. And while you're at it, why not hit that subscribe button, because I'll be posting much more content you don't want to miss. From Timișoara I took a flight to Bucharest, from where I traveled by train through Transylvania, all the way to Cluj-Napoca, where I am right now, but I also made a few stops along the way. I will be making a compilation with the highlights and my full conclusions after a full month of traveling in Romania, but in this video I'll share my experiences of spending a full week in the medieval city of Brașov. I will go through my week day by day and share exactly what I did and how much I spent on it. So let's start with day one, when I arrived in Brașov by train on a Tuesday around noon. I just arrived by train in my next destination, which is Brașov. I'm renting an apartment here, so let's first check that out. I just got the keys from the locker box. The apartment is supposed to be nice, so let's check it out. Because I was staying there for a full week, I rented an apartment so I could properly work from home, stock up on food and cook my own food, as opposed to having to eat out every single day. The apartment was very nice and modern and very spacious for myself alone, with even 2 bedrooms, and the master bedroom even had a small patio. The living room had a large sofa and a dining table, which became my home office. The kitchen had everything from a large fridge and freezer to an oven, microwave, kettle and even a dishwasher. There was also another small patio, so I could sit outside every now and then. I booked the apartment via booking.com and paid 1335 lei for the entire week. This was more expensive than the apartment I had in Timișoara, but it turned out to be the best accommodation I've stayed in during my entire time in Romania. After I checked in, I made 2 separate shopping trips to stock up on food. First, I went to a small shop around the corner to get some heavier items like water and other drinks. Then I walked a bit further to a larger supermarket for more choice and to get some good fresh products as well. In total, I spent 291 lei. Since arriving in Romania, this was the first time I actually had a washing machine available, so I had to do some laundry as well. I also had to catch up on work, so I didn't leave the house anymore for the rest of the day. I had been eating out for days in a row during my other stops in Bucharest and Sinaia before arriving in Brașov, so I decided to make some healthy food that evening and took a bit of rest as well. On the second day I worked from home in the morning and decided to spend a few hours in the afternoon to explore the city. I always like to do this as soon as I arrive in a new city, as this gives me a first impression of the city and helps me orientate and find my way as I walk past shops, restaurants and other places of interest. This also inspires me to think about what I actually want to do when I'm in a new city, so I can make some kind of a bucket list, so I can make a realistic planning as well. Because in the end, I'm not on holiday, I can't rely on going with the flow, and I also need to get some work done. But in the end, I also don't want to end up missing out on things. So I started with a stroll around the old town, which is full of colorful historic buildings, including the city hall, the courthouse, and of course Piața Sfatului, the main square with the old town hall. Since I hadn't had any lunch, I got a bit hungry, so I went to a small bakery and bought a placenta, which is some sort of a sweet cake with apple and cheese. Together with an espresso, I only paid 9 lei, so it was cheap and super nice. After that, I visited the Gothic-style black church, for which I paid an entrance fee of 7 lei. Then I went back home and had dinner there, as I still had some fresh vegetables for another salad and I had some work and a call scheduled for that evening. On the third day, which was a Thursday, I went out to get a bus to Bran straight away in the morning. I wanted to visit Bran Castle, which is commonly referred to as Dracula's castle. But since this is a popular tourist attraction, I wanted to avoid the weekend. The bus ride took around 45 minutes and a return ticket was 20 lei. There was not much of a queue or anything, but it was still full of people, so I bet it was good I went on a Thursday. The entrance fee was 45 lei, and it turned out that there was also an exhibition from the Irish Embassy about the life of Dublin-born Bram Stoker, the writer of Dracula. I've lived in Dublin myself for over 10 years, so it was interesting to see some old photos of how the city looked like in the 19th century. Fun fact is actually that Bran Castle actually has very little to do with Dracula, but they have marketed it in a smart way to attract visitors. Bram Stoker based his character Dracula on Vlad the Impaler, who was nicknamed Vlad Dracul. But apparently the Wallachian ruler has never lived there, and the castle has very little resemblance with the descriptions in the novel. But it had been on my bucket list for a while, and it was nice to visit anyway. I also paid 7 lei to visit the Brand National Museum, which houses the heritage of King Ferdinand and Queen Mary. Before taking the bus back, I sat down on a terrace for a coffee, which was 16 lei, and I paid 2 lei for a toilet. So it's pretty clear that this place is pretty touristic. On Friday, the 4th day, I only worked for an hour in the morning before I had an appointment at the barber. The haircut cost only 50 lei. I continued onwards to explore more of the city because there were some chances of rain throughout the weekend, so I wanted to take the opportunity while the weather was still good and sunny. Right next to the city, there is a hill with a Hollywood-like sign of Brașov, from where you can have a nice view over the city. Since I'm walking more than enough already, I took the iconic Tempa cable car, which was 25 lei for a return ticket. It was well worth it as I really enjoyed the view. Before ascending down, I also had an espresso for 9 lei. After that, I visited the first Romanian school, where a passionate guide explained more about the history of Romania and its language. The entrance here was 20 lei. Then I sat down at a traditional restaurant for lunch, where I had a Transylvanian soup with smoked pork and potatoes with a drink for 42 lei. After that, I visited the History Museum, which is located inside the historic town hall. The entrance fee there was 10 lei. Since it was Friday afternoon, nice and sunny, I craved for a beer before going home. I found a nice craft beer place with a courtyard, and since I had my laptop with me, I could work a little bit from there. Oh, by the way, I'm super happy with my super lightweight laptop, because with this I don't mind walking around for hours with it in my bag, and at some point I can then sit down and do some work from the terrace or from anywhere. I had 2 craft beers from local breweries, and since it was happy hour, I got a 20% discount, so even with the tip included, I only spent 24 lei. Since I had been away all day and a fridge full of food waiting for me, I went home and cooked my own meal. On day 5, which was Saturday, I spent all day working from home. I had already spent a lot of time traveling and sightseeing during the week, so it was time to give my feet some rest and actually get some work done. My planning turned out to be excellent because it actually rained a few times that day. I only went out to the supermarket for a few items, on which I spent another 28 lei. I had already cooked the day before and still had plenty of food left, which I only needed to heat up. Then on Sunday I worked from home for half a day and spent the afternoon strolling around the city once more. Brașov is a medieval city, and there are still parts of its fortification walls and some watchtowers left. I climbed up the black and white towers for some more views over the city and continued to wander the streets. Before going back home, I had a gogoji for 3 lei, which is some sort of a donut. I must have overestimated my appetite when doing groceries and cooking, as I still had food left from the 2 days before, and since I hate spilling food, I ended up going home to eat the same pasta for the 3rd time in a row. Since I had more traveling coming up and I had seen everything I wanted, I spent the last day working from home all day. I really wanted to finish something, so I kept postponing my dinner until I realized it was a bit late to wander around town to search for the best authentic food. So I went to a nearby pizza place for a quick bite, on which I spent 53 lei. The next morning I went to the train station to continue my trip through Transylvania, so make sure to subscribe to my channel to continue to follow my journey. So how much did I spend during my entire week in Brașov? Let's first wrap up each category. The apartment was 1335 lei, including all utilities. On groceries I spent a total of 319 lei. I didn't eat out a lot, so on all the out-of-home food and drinks I only spent 156 lei. On transportation I spent 45 lei, which was only for the bus to Bran and the cable car, as everything else was at a walkable distance. All the entrance fees together added up to 89 lei. And on all the other things, including the haircut and a public toilet, I spent 52 lei. So in total I spent almost 2000 lei, or just over 400 euros for 1 week in Brașov. This is roughly 60 euros more than I spent in my week in Timișoara, but this is mainly due to the fact that the apartment was a bit more expensive. In terms of productivity, I have to say that I still got quite some work done, but I think this is also due to the fact that I made a very rough planning and I knew what I had to do at each day. However, due to all the traveling before I came to Brașov and by walking a lot outdoors in the sun, I also felt some energy draining and I felt it harder to actually concentrate when I had to. So I guess this is also the toll I paid for wanting to do so much in a short period of time. But it felt good to stay in an apartment again for a full week, because it's definitely way more productive than trying to work from hotel rooms while on the road all the time and also having to eat out every day. So that was it about Brașov. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I'll be sharing more about my journey very soon. So then I'll see you in my next video. Bye!